Hello everyone, welcome to this demo on how to create an animated GIF on Photoshop. This is going to be an interesting one because I think a lot of people don't associate Photoshop with creating animations or video, but I'm going to cover this because I think if I'm showing you guys how to use Photoshop, you should definitely understand that it has that capability. So I think this is a great introductory assignment to using video and animation in Photoshop. We're not really going to do the video frame for this. We're going to do a different one, but I think it will definitely give you a little preview of what Photoshop can do with moving images. Now, this lab that we're going to do, or this demo that I'm going to do, it has multiple steps. So I recommend that when you watch the video, you have some notes, so that way you can take notes, because there are multiple steps on this one. This is not just like a one thing that you click and that's it. So make sure that you watch the video carefully and you take notes. So that way you don't have to watch it, multiple times. So every time you do one, it's going to take you longer if you have to watch the video again. So just as a heads up, it's going to be, a couple steps and different windows that you're going to have to be going to make this work properly. And there are multiple labs that I'm going to show you. Okay, so there's this one where I'm going to this is a still image, by the way, of a cup, but I'm going to change the color, okay, so that way it can flicker through different colors, this image. So I'm going to make an animation out of a still image, okay? There's many cool things that you can do with still images and animated GIF. But for this one, I'm going to try to do it simple. I'm going to pull out the layers panel, so that way you can see what I'm doing and the adjustments, because I'm going to be working here and I want you to be able to see it closely what I'm doing. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer. Okay, one of the things that I covered earlier and how to basically copy a layer, it's a really simple shortcut. Command J will basically duplicate your layer. Okay, that's something that you should learn because you're going to use it a lot to copy layers. It's something that you will take advantage of later on when you start duplicating layers to create effects and things like that. So Command J is a shortcut that you should definitely write down and probably memorize at some point. Okay, so Command J is the first one I'm going to do. I'm going to do that because I'm going to change the color of this cup and create another image that has the same cup and the same basically everything except the color. Okay, so instead of using the adjustments, and I'm going to show you why that is, because I could do it with the adjustment, but I'm trying to skip a step. I'm going to show you the two ways so that way you understand why I'm showing you the other one. Okay, I could do the color change by going to here in saturation, okay, and changing the hue. So now it's purple. But if I take this one off, you see that it affects everything that's underneath, okay? And that's why I don't do it that way. I want to actually affect only layer one, not everything that's underneath. We covered this before when we did the layers demo, and you have to understand that everything that's on top is going to affect everything that's underneath. In this case, because I did this adjustment, it's affecting layer one and the background. There is a way that you can apply that to only be here with clipping mask. I'm going to show you that later, but I don't want to confuse you too much, okay? And you can also merge the two to basically apply that. But for now, I think it's better to not do that, to not confuse you and keep you, a little bit simpler, the demo, okay? But there are other ways to doing it, in case you're wondering. But I'm going to delete this. And instead of doing that way, I'm going to try to keep it simple by telling you a shortcut. So write this down. You're going to press Command U, the letter U, okay? And it's going to open the hue and saturation. But in this case, instead of adding an adjustment layer, it's actually applying it directly to the image. So this is what we call destructive, because you're actually applying it to the layer. But I'm okay with doing that for this lab, okay? Usually I don't recommend this because you will be basically changing the original colors of the image. But in this case, we do want that, okay? So once you do that, then you can push it, and find, let's say green. Let's say that's the first image that I want to create. And I press OK. So you can see that this cup now is green and this one is red. So I'm going to go back to the background, press Command J, go up, okay, put it above, and then do Command U again. All right. And then you're going to change it. Let's see. We did green. So let's do like a blue. Press OK. All right. Cyan. Now I go back to the background, Command J, move it all the way to the top. I could actually, what I could have done is basically duplicate this 5 times instead of doing it each time. But I guess I didn't thought about that before. But we can still doing it this way. So I do Command U. Now let's go to the other side. We did pink. No, I don't think we did pink. Okay, so let's do that like a purple. Okay, so we have 4, and now I'm going to do one more. And let's go all the way to the top. Command U. And I'm going to slide it till I get a darker blue. We have like the cyan, but I think we could do like a dark blue like that. Okay. All right, so now I have 5 different colors of that cup. I'm going to double click on the background layer so I can convert it into a layer. Okay, so now it's not a background. You see that the little lock went away. So now I have 5 layers. You know, I can actually rename this and put red, green, cyan. I don't even know what color. I think it's purple. Oh my gosh. Purple. I think it's like that. Hopefully my English is correct. Don't judge my English skills. It's not my first language. And then blue. Okay. So now I have my colors there. And then what I'm going to do is, now is where we have basically what we needed. Okay. We have the different images that is going to create this flickering image of the cup. Okay. That's what we're going for here. We're going to do an animation in a little bit. So to do the animation, we have to open a new window that is not open by default. So we're going to go to Window. Okay. So write this part down so that way you know where it is. You're going to go to Window. Okay. You're going to scroll down all the way to where it says Timeline. Okay. So that's where we're going to go. Window and then Timeline. When you click that, it's going to open like a bar on the bottom part of Photoshop. Okay. Now this part is really important. I know that you guys are going to get stuck, okay, at this part. And it's not because, you know, I just know from experience, because in the way that they design this part, it's actually confusing. So it's not your fault. Okay. So write it down so that way when you get there, you're like, aha, Photoshop, you did not fool me, because the instructor told me to take notes and I did, and I know how to follow them. Okay. So where it says create frame animation, in your computer, it might be by default create video timeline. Okay. Now, if that's the case, right, if you open the timeline and it says create video timeline, you're going to click on this little, you know, arrow here, and you're going to change it to frame animation. Okay. Now, this is the catch. You're not done yet. Okay. So the first thing is make sure that it says frame animation. Once you get it to frame animation, you have to click it. Okay, it was just confusing. It should have been like 2. It would be way easier if they just have 2 tabs or 2 like things right here, and just click the one that you want to do, and that's it. And then you go in. Here, they make you pick first. Okay, so don't click on the first one that you see, because it's going to be the wrong one probably. Okay, usually it's create video timeline, but we're not going to do video for this class. You're going to actually do a frame animation. Okay. So make sure that you know which one you're clicking. That's really key. So when you click on the frame animation, after you do that, then you have to write this down. Then you have to actually click on it, and then it opens up. Okay. I have so many students get stuck in that part, and they're like, well, I click and nothing is opening, or not, I don't see my layers. It's because they haven't clicked it, or they click on the first one and then it goes to the video timeline. So it happens every semester. It's just like, you know, it happens. So just please write it down, because it might happen to you. So now we're in, and the thing that you're going to notice is that it only has the blue one. It has the first one that's on the top. Okay. And that's okay. All right. The first time that you open it, it's just going to be one layer, and, you know, don't get like, you know, anxious to be like, oh my gosh, it only has one. What did I do wrong? It's normal. Okay. You're in the right place. You have what you need. You have one layer. Now the next step is going to be, you're going to bring all these layers down here, and I'm going to show you how. Okay. You're going to go to the right side right here on the top right of that panel. It's going to have a little justified icon right there. If you click there, okay, it's going to open the menu of that panel. And then if you look through here, okay, it's going to be one, and write this down so that way you don't get confused, because there are a couple of them that say layer. Okay, you're going to make frames from layers. Okay, that's really important. That's that one. Make frames from layers. So basically what you're telling is you're going to make frames from each of those layers. So you click there, and then boom, you have on the bottom left the 5 layers that you have in your layers. Okay, so you did that part, right? Okay, you're wondering, okay, what's next? Now the next step is deciding, how long you want each of these to play for. So right now they're 0 seconds, so it'd be too quick. I actually recommend that you select them all, and to do that, you click on the first one, then hold shift in your keyboard and then click on the last one, and you have all of them selected. Now you can go here where it says 0 seconds, and then you change it to, I don't know, I'm going to do 0.2. You can do 0.1 also. And once you do 0.2, then verify that it says forever, so that way it loops and it keeps playing, okay, forever. And then you play it, so that way you can see how it looks. Oh, what happened? I paused it by accident. Went crazy on me. Okay, let's see if it works. If I hit play again, there we go. That's what it's supposed to do. So this is what we're going for, right? It's basically an image that flickers and changes color. And the cool thing about this is that then you can email it to somebody. You probably have seen like, GIFs or, people that put on their text like animations of GIF. This is how they get done. Basically, it's through Photoshop through this. There's other websites that you can actually upload images and it will do it for you. But professionals, this is how they do it. They do it in Photoshop. Now, there's so many things that you can do with animations here in Photoshop. I'm going to pause it so that way I can show you what the different speed looks like. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do a little bit faster. 0.1 and then hit play. Oh, it's rendering. One thing I forgot to do, you guys won't have that problem because when I give you the lab, I'll give you a smaller file size. I'm actually doing the original, which is a big file. So you're supposed to render these and like doing them smaller because this is actually a format, the GIF, what we're doing right now, the animation, that's actually meant for web, email, cell phone and text and things like that. So they're not supposed to be with big files. So right now, mine is having some problems here rendering. So I'm going to actually pause it. Okay, so that way I can actually resize it to a different image size. Because I started with the big file and I shouldn't have done that. I should have a smaller file size so it wouldn't freeze on me. But that was my mistake. Okay, so usually what you want to do is resize it to a smaller file size. I usually do them, if you want them big, you can do like 1000 pixels on the longest side at 72. So you basically do the resize beforehand. So that way, when you're dealing with this part, when you're making the animation, it doesn't freeze on you, because right now this is like a camera file, which is big. But by having the 5 layers, you have 5 times that data, and then it's trying to render all that and play it, and then it gets like crazy on you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to image size, and let's see if this will let me do that. Remember, always, if we're doing pixels, we want to imagine that's pretty big file size. So we're going to do 72, and then let's keep it kind of small. Let's do 800 on that size. Okay, sorry, I had to pause it because it was taking forever and I didn't want you guys to just stare at the wheel of death there of Photoshop trying to render in the back. Anyway, so I resized this so it's a lot smaller. And that's really important because now when you actually play it, it will play a lot better. There's actually a way that you can do it, and then when you're exporting it, resizing it, but I don't recommend it because it takes way longer than if you do it beforehand. So just as a reminder, when you know that you're going to do an animated GIF, you should have a final image. Okay, you don't want to be dealing with layers and adjustments and stuff. Okay, you could, but it's just going to make the workflow way slower because Photoshop, when it's rendering the video, or in this case an animation, it takes a while, okay, to do. So just keep that in mind, that when you start doing the animation, you want the correct file size and the image finally how you want it retouched. So that way it will be easier to render together. I just forgot to actually do that before I jumped in, and I pay for it, and then I have to see the wheel of death. Okay, so now we are here. And what I want to do is show you, a couple of different, ways that this can play. So right now it's at 0.1 second. This one's a little bit faster, so it looks more fun. I actually like more this one. I think it does a better job of I don't know, I can imagine it in a website, promoting something. I don't know, you can have something inside the cup or something like that. So this is like a fun, quick, animation that you can do. Now, this is the moment that you have to either resize it, but I already did, before you export it. So this one, if I go to image size, Command Option I, and I go right here, it's already in a decent size. It's big enough. You can actually have it smaller. That's something that you could do. The longer it is, the smaller you want it, okay? Because sometimes there's some if you actually think about GIF that people have sent you on the email and stuff or through text, they're usually very short, right? Like it's not super long video. The animated GIFs are meant to be short, okay? So if you have to make one that's longer, then you have to go smaller on the image size, so like 600 or something like that, to make it even easier to send and also to process in Photoshop. Okay, so right now I have mine at 800, which is a decent size. It's not small. So if you see it here, it actually looks pretty good. Even if you have it that size, it looks sharp. So that means that that's about the real size that it is, which is good. It's big. So what you want to do is, and usually, just a reminder, usually when you see GIFs are about that size or even this size, they're pretty small usually. But this one is about that size, so a little bit bigger. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to File, then you're going to go to Export. Okay, then you're going to go to Save for Web. So this is when you're going to export it. Okay, so write this down. Once you do the animation and you make sure that you pick forever. Okay, make sure that you pick the speed that you want it on. Okay, after you do that and you have a resize already, remember you have to resize it first. Then you go to File, Export, Save for Web. Okay, so write that down. Once you click there, there's going to be a window that's going to look intimidating. So there's going to be a lot of options here. Now, the one that's the most important is making sure that it says GIF right here on the top. Okay, so if it doesn't say GIF, you're going to go where it says JPEG. Okay, or all these options. So it might be on JPEG. So when you open this window and it looks intimidating, there's a lot of stuff. The first thing that you're going to have to look at is on the top right here that it doesn't say JPEG. You want to make sure that it says GIF. Okay. So that's the one that you want. After you do that, you're going to make sure that the image size is correct. So this is the area here that you can resize, but this is what I meant before. Like you don't want to do this here because it's just going to lag forever. I have stared at this window for so long before, and I don't want you guys to do that. So make sure that you resize it beforehand. Now, the other thing is you're going to see some degradation on the image. The reason is when you're basically exporting as a GIF, it only has a limited amount of colors available to recreate this compression or this image that you're going to make. So there are a couple ways that you can look to see if there's one that works better. If you open it up and you put a GIF here and it looks fine, then leave it like that. Okay, don't touch anything. But if it doesn't, you can actually go through a couple of these and put like perceptual to see how you can see how the colors change here. And then you can, use diffusion or noise to see how that affects the image. I have found with the experience that it doesn't matter which one I put, it's going to always be depending of the image because of the colors that that image has. So I wish I could tell you like, you know what, use this one always and it will work okay. But I realized that with time that there's some images that for some reason, because of the colors that it has, it just, I have to kind of go through these and try to play around. So the ones that are, that I end up using the most are these top three. Okay, perceptual, selective, and adaptive. I tend to use perceptual, sometimes noise, sometimes diffusion, or pattern to kind of like see. You see, like pattern actually worked really well. It looks softer. The noise one was, let's see, diffusion. Seems like both of these right now look fine. You won't notice the difference that much. So remember, these are small file sizes. And if you actually look online, most of the GIF, they look kind of like a little bit grainy, a little bit weird. And it's because they're losing a lot of information. Okay. And that's normal. So I'm going to leave it right there. Then after you do that, you make sure that it's GIF. You make sure that you look through these and you look at the image to see how it looks. Then you hit save and it's going to save it. I'm going to put my desktop so we can find it easily. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then when I go to the desktop, the only way to play it in a Mac, for example, if you click on it once and it's just selected, if you hit spacebar, then it will pop up and it will play correctly. Okay, so that's one way of seeing it to make sure that it works. But if you put it on an email and you email it to yourself, you will see it right away it plays. And that's one of the cool things about animated GIF. It's really easy to share. If you text it to somebody, it will play like this. Okay, so that's it. Basically, you export it. Let me show you another one real quick. I'm going to Bridge, and I'm going to show you a different one. Let's do this one, the practice one of the leaves. Now this is a little bit different. The one before, it was a one image, and then we basically adjusted the color and then made an animation from it. This one, we have kind of like a stop motion. Well, not kind of, it is a stop motion. Basically, there's frames where these leaves got moved, and then we're going to go ahead and play it. Okay, so now there is a catch here. You have to make sure that you rename these files in the order that you want. That's really important, right? Because if you have a bunch of images, like 20, and the order on the number is wrong, and then when you take it to Photoshop, you're not going to know what goes where. So you don't want them to get out of order. So rename them. You can actually do it really quickly here in Photoshop in Bridge. If you organize them how you want, you can select the first one and then the last one, and then go to Tools, and then go to Batch Rename, and you can rename them here. Okay, and put like, I don't know. Oh, right now I'm not going to change it because they have the order, but you can put basically a text. I can put R for my name and then put like 01, and basically it will start naming them R01 and then 02, and it's going to keep adding the number in the order that I have them right now. But that's basically really important. And then the next step is you have to know where you're going to save them. I'm going to copy this folder, actually, the practice one, to my desktop, so it's easier to find in Photoshop for this demo. Copy to desktop. Okay, so I move it to the desktop. The reason is, I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to close this one. Don't save. Okay, so when you're in Photoshop, the reason I'm showing you this, it's going to save you so much time. Instead of opening each of these files or images and then try to combine them into a document, I'm going to show you a trick of how to import them all together into a document. So you're going to go to File, you're going to go to Scripts, and then you're going to go to one that says Load Files into Stack. Okay, so once you go there, okay, so File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. Once you go there, this is going to open up and you're going to navigate to your folder. So it's going to go Files, use Files. So you're going to browse. So you're going to click Browse. I'm going to go to Desktop. I'm going to put Practice, and I'm going to select all of them. So I click on the first one, Shift, click on the last one, and click Open. Now I have them all here, so I can go ahead and click OK. So what that did, it's doing it right now in the background, but you will see boom, 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 boom. All of the images loaded here. Okay. So now I have a bunch of images that are basically a stop motion. If I start hiding these, you can see that they start moving. Okay, so that's what we wanted, and the order is key. I'm going to show you in a little bit. Okay, what you want to do is I'm going to show you two ways. First, I'm going to show you without copying them and ordering them. I'm going to show you how it looks just as it is. Okay, so right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Create Frame Animation. Okay, I'm going to go to the menu. This is the same as the previous one that we just did. Create Frame Some Layers. So I'm basically putting those images here, and I'm going to select them, change the speed to, let's do 0.1 seconds. Make sure it's in forever. And if I play it, you will see that it starts moving, right? Now, the problem of this animation is that the leaves all move to one spot and then it jumps because it starts in the beginning again. So it kind of like has this jumping feeling to it at the end, right? And I actually want to prevent that. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all these. I'm going to select the number. Actually, I'm going to select them all. Let's see if I can delete. Okay, and I'm actually going to, well, you know what? Let's do it this way. I'm going to basically just redo it in a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically duplicate all of these, okay? Just bear with me for a second, right? I have this order right now that it has from 001 all the way to 11. Now, I'm not going to actually copy all of them. I'm going to copy from 2 to 10, and I'm going to explain why, okay? The way that I'm going to copy them, I'm going to drag them to this icon right here next to the trash can. It's going to copy them right here. Now, this is the part that's going to get a little bit crazy. Okay. The reason I'm doing this is because I want the animation to go from 1 through 11. And then when it gets to 11, I want to go back to 10, 9, 8. So that way it goes back and forth and I don't have that jumping feeling. I didn't copy number 1 and number 11 because if not, it will lag in that for a second, right? Because it actually stays there, you know, for two split of a second, like it will stay for 2 frames. So I don't want that. So I basically copy only 2 and 10. And now I have to reorganize this. So I actually want number 1 here. Okay, so it will go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 10, 11, right? So then I move 10 behind it. Then I move 9. Oh, it's a little supposed to be up backwards. 10, 9, 8. Oh, I have to do it this way. It's hard to get that last part. Then 7. So I'm going to do that. And 6. Do that. And 5. And 4. 3. Sorry that you have to watch all this. And then 2. Okay. So now I have to move 4 here. So, okay, so this is how it goes, right? It starts in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 11. Then goes back to 10, 9, 8. And then it goes to 2. There's no 1 because it will start over again on number 1, okay? So this is if you want to make a GIF where it's like going back and forth. Like somebody dancing, it's like going back and forth, going back and forth. So it's kind of repeating the same thing over and over again. So it's kind of like rewinding, you know, halfway through and then starting from the beginning again. Okay, so that's why I did that. So now that I have that, I can select all of these. I actually have to delete this one after. I have to remember to do that. If not, it's going to lag. And I'm going to go here to the menu, make frame some layers, and it's going to put them all. So let's see if it will work out. Let's hit play. Actually, let's change the speed first. So 2 seconds because I want to make sure that I delete the right one. You see, it gets to the end, and it goes back to the beginning. There we go. It's working. Okay. So this is what we were looking for. Now that we know that it's working, I can pause it, change the speed a little bit faster. I think it will look better. There you go. So now we have a little animation going back and forth. So now we don't have that jumping feeling that we had before. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that in case you wanted to do that and wanted to do something where it goes back. For the lab, I want you to do it. So it's going to take you some time. So just be like mindful of that. And I will show you in class a couple of samples that I have for GIF to give you some ideas. But if you have any questions, just ask me. Now, this is like something that you have to look at your notes because there's steps that you have to follow, okay? But once you basically put these all together, the only thing you have to do is go to File, and then Export, and then you do Save for Web again. And you do the same thing. You make sure that it's GIF, okay? Look how the image looks. If it looks fine, then leave it like that, and then hit Save. And then pick your desktop, and then click it. And I'm going to show you how that plays over there. And now if I go here, I can basically press it, and then it will play, okay? So it's working. Perfect. So that's what you're going to do for the animated GIF. I will talk in class a little bit about the assignment and what you need to do. These 2 demos are just so I know that you know how to do it. So that way you can basically work on your own animation. Okay. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. If you have any questions, please ask.